Yet? All right, there it was. I heard the recording start. Good morning and welcome everybody to March's user group, March 22nd, 2023. Got a lot of great things for you, and we're gonna just get rolling right into our agenda. Got a couple things, lots of updates and some review stuff, and then a demo at the end. So we're gonna talk about some staffing things going on here with the EVA team. Going to give you an update on that. Going to look at what's come in so far in March. We've had 2 production releases so far in March, and going to talk about those. We'll have 1 more production release in March, and then I'll be posting the entire March release summary onto the EVA website. Have a couple additional release updates. Some little things I want to just touch base on that have some nuance to them and kind of explain what's going on. And then I'm going to do a demo. We're going to do the favoriting feature again, and show several different favoriting things, trying to make you and your staff's life easier through the favorites feature. So gonna look at that again today. Let's dig right into that first part here, the EVA staffing update. So my staff has heard me say, and maybe others have heard me say, with great change comes great change. So there's definitely been some changes happening, and that includes not only with EVA but with our staff here. So maybe you weren't aware. You're like, boy, I haven't seen Lisa on a user group meeting in a few months. Well, Lisa did leave DGS and headed off to another state agency. We really appreciated everything she added to the program over almost 7 years, but we are also very excited to welcome, he will start officially next week, Tony Jordan as our new deputy director. Some of you know Tony. He's currently an account executive here at DPS. So we stole from Barb. We kept the talent in-house, but definitely took Tony away from Barb's team. And then some of you might, Barb comes on camera to stick her tongue out at me. That's great. And then some of you might have remember Tony from his time at DARS. So we're very, very excited for Tony to get started with us as the EVA deputy director. And you will begin to see him not only in this meeting, but potentially in other meetings and agency engagements and all sorts of stuff that'll be going on over the next several weeks and months. So we're excited about that. Again, you may, if you're one of our veterans, our user group veterans, or even going back to the forum, or if you're a heavy report user, like, you use maybe our ad hoc tool or had any sort of special queries or reports built for you, you know that Anna Coy was our strategic data analyst with us for about 4 years. She also departed. The skill set she had, she went into private industry and was able to continue her career in private industry. While again, much like with Lisa, we certainly appreciate Anna's contributions. We are rehiring that position. It's posted for hire right now, and we are excited to get that position filled to continue to provide that great support, not only with Joel Paddo and DGS ISS, but certainly on my team. And Anna was such a great trainer and outreach person, and we're looking for that as well with the strategic data analyst. So again, posted for hire. If you know anybody that's into data, into reporting, you want to do that job, please, it's out there on the state job site. So send that around or apply yourself if you want to join us. Our other position, as we talked about this in the last user group meeting. If you weren't able to see the last user group meeting, go check that one out, because we talked about our hypercare and how we're kind of calling it extended care now, and how we're trying to get back to a steady state, shooting for mid to late April to do that. But customer care is also in the process of fleshing out and fully getting staffed. There is an assistant supervisor, an analyst position that is posted for hire, and then a specialist position that will be posting for hire. And that should go up very, very soon, maybe as quickly as today. I know there's some other positions open here at DPS. I just told you about Tony's. So look for those. We shamelessly promote our positions here at DGS and at DPS. So if you're interested in really digging into this EVA stuff or getting into procurement and procurement policy, have a look-see at the jobs that are posted at DGS. See, shameless promotion. Got a fun team, good staff, and I think EVA, this is going to be a great year as we begin to settle out with EVA and begin to move from implementation and really making sure we're tying loose ends up in implementation to starting to make the tool better and even introducing some new functionality. So again, should be a fun year for the user group, should be a fun year for you guys that use EVA and your staff. Should be a fun year for our staff too, as we continue to flesh out EVA and start to move into actually making some improvements to what's going on our new platform. So that's our staffing update. Let's dig in into the release items here. Let me click my link here and launch that. And Barb and or Kim, can you see the Word document or do I need to reshare it?
You need to reshare it. So
Gotcha.
just go under share and it should give you the option to pick it.
I will do that. Thank you. That's what I wanted to check. So bear with me. Okay, now we should be square, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So let's go through the March release and what has happened. I do have one highlighted here. We'll talk about that in just a sec. So let me slip my glasses on because this is a little bit smaller so that I can read these. And I'm just going to go through these really quick. But this is what has happened in March. And again, once this month is over, we have one more release, March 30th. I will post this list up onto the EVA website. And then again, this is being recorded, so you can always go back and watch the recording to go through this as well. So lots of items. First one here in the sourcing and contracts area. For whatever reason, when more than 10 documents were included on a sourcing event, they wouldn't carry over to the public posting. That got fixed back on March 2nd. We had a fix come in on March 2nd that we thought was brilliant. When a purchase order was canceled, we included the user information for the user who did the cancellation. Unfortunately, that was applied incorrectly. That's why it's highlighted. I will eventually be dropping this unless we get a fix in before the end of March. You had to have admin privileges to see that. So that is a mistake on our part. It is something that I was promoting, so I wanted to make sure I talked about it. Absolutely something we want to get done for you guys. We just applied it where only admins could see it. So that's something we've got to get corrected. Moving on down. There was an issue with handling multiple attachments as part of the analyze and award step in sourcing. That has been corrected as well. And then for both our buyer and supplier, we added the contract number and the contractor supplier name to the contract renewal email notification that you got, so that when you got the, hey, you've got a renewal coming up, you could tell which contract the renewal was for, and then the contractor or supplier that it impacted. So just some email improvements there. Hopefully you guys and your users maybe have noticed this, but this next one, the fiscal year data on the accounting or allocation line used to have like this weird text next to it. We cleaned that up. So now you just see the year in the allocation line with your fiscal year data. Just a little bit of data cleanup there. And then for those of you that are involved with the subcontractor reporting process, now March 2nd, we brought in some stuff to improve like the user interface and how that data was collected. There was this notification job that was running that like filled people's to-do lists up and drove everybody really crazy. So we did a lot of fixes. They started on March 2nd. Quite honestly, it took us about 2 weeks after that to get all of that wrapped up, as well as the report itself. But this is just kind of a marker that we've done a lot of work with the subcontractor reporting, have done the cleanup, improved the user interface, and fixed the report. So all of that stuff has gone in March as well, for those of you that are collecting subcontractor payment data or asking your prime vendors to report. We've got that cleaned up and we should be good to go there. For those of you that do PO export, meaning you start your requisition and generate your purchase order in EVA, and then you take a copy of that PO and maybe load it into your financial system or whatever system, typically tends to be financial systems. On that PO export file, we've included the external contract number. I remember there's an internal contract number if you're using contract management. We know there's a lot of folks that don't use the contract module. So there is an external contract number, and we've now included that PO, that external contract number on that PO export file. That helps from a reporting perspective. And for those of you that are not using EVA contracts, although I highly suggest everybody use the EVA contracts module. Receiving, our first fix in receiving, there's some others coming here throughout March and into April to clean up the receiving area for those of you that use receiving. But one of the first things we did, there were some duplicate receipt lines in our data warehouse that were messing up the receiving report. Those got fixed on the 16th. So that report got cleaned up, and cleaning up that receiving report for you and getting some data fixed in our data warehouse. And notice I've shifted from March 2nd to the 16th. And if you remember from our last user group meeting, we talked about release management, and we are on a bi-weekly or once every 2 week release schedule. So we had one on the 2nd and then one on the 16th. But again, cleaning up that receiving report. Again, in the contracts area, for those of you that use contracts, you can have team members, responsible contributor and subject matter expert. In the contracts area, responsible and contributor can actually edit a contract, renew a contract, do all sorts of things. They actually have edit privileges. Subject matter experts do not. And we found out that they did. You could be a subject matter expert and could actually edit the contract. So that was bad, but we fixed that on the 16th. So now you can assign a subject matter expert that can go in and view your contract information if you want to add a subject matter expert as a team member on your contract. So that's a good improvement there. Next one here, the PO notification email that goes out to our suppliers when they receive a purchase order. We did a text update to that. Kim Brewer, sorry, Kim Pritchett. Sorry, Kim, I can't believe I did that. Went in and did some little fixes to that just to make it clear. The email notification that the suppliers was getting was pretty generic. It basically said, hey, you have an order. Well, now it comes in and says, hey, you've got an order, but you need to log in if you want to grab attachments, or if there's a P card associated with the order. And it just gives a lot more detail and is a little bit more clear to the supplier than just saying, hey, you got something in EVA. So thanks to Kim for cleaning that up for us. And that went in on the 16th. There's some additional fixes coming in at the end of the month to clean up some formatting and stuff. But in the grand scheme of things, the language is a lot better. This next one, kind of a strange one, but one that was catching people by surprise. Attachments on sourcing events with an apostrophe. So it's like Shane's specification, SHANE apostrophe S, or specifications with an apostrophe S, or anything like that. That apostrophe was causing the attachments not to publicly post. We had a workaround. You just rename the file and drop the apostrophe. But people like to have things like Shane specs or stuff like that when you're posting stuff. So we made a little fix where you can now do apostrophes in those attachment names, and the attachments will publicly post. So that went in as well. For those of you that in sourcing and when you're doing a public posting, if you're doing an external entity, maybe it's a cooperative. The example we always use here, we participated in an association called NASPO, which is the National Association of State Procurement Officers. And, sometimes we participate on, national procurements they're doing, and Virginia will participate. So we can post that sourcing event, but then reference back to an external entity that's actually potentially, running the procurement itself, and direct supplier questions to that external entity. So we've got that all cleaned up. With a public posting, will show the external entity contact info that's entered on the sourcing event. This next one here, where you see all these field sizes, a little bit technical in nature, but I still wanted to put this out for you guys to see. Within the user interface, so within EVA, when you're actually keying in data, we put some field size limits in place. This helps not only to meet our procurement data standards that we're following, but we have so many systems that we're exchanging data with. And, we gave them, hey, these are the standards that we follow. And this is kind of helping in the user interface so people don't exceed those file limits. So the rec title is 128 characters, the deliver to name 128 characters, external contract number is limited to 50 characters. The comment, header comment on the rec is 2,000. Line comment on the order is 500. Internal comments are 2,000. Then the PO name, so the rec title carries over to the PO title to match that they're 128. And then the PO header comments, again, 2,000 characters. So put some restrictions on there, in the UI. That just helps with our data exchanges and helping to meet our standard and stuff like that. So again, may not impact a lot of you folks, but just wanted you to see that from that perspective. Next one here, public posting. This is for our supplier community. One of the, suppliers get notified, via email, when there's a sourcing event that they may be interested in. They can also go to the public posting page. And then one of the neat features we had in our legacy system is that a supplier that has a login to EVA could favorite solicitations. And then, of course, the other way to get a solicitation into your bucket would be to respond, obviously, as a supplier, to actually submit a bid or respond to the solicitation. The favoriting feature when we went live just wasn't working. Suppliers, they could, get their email notification and they could, of course, respond electronically, but they couldn't do the favoriting. And that got fixed as well on the 16th. So that, when a supplier is looking on the public posting site, or when they're logged in and they're looking on the public posting site, they can click the little star, and they have a whole area where they can maintain their favorite sourcing events and watch the status of those. So that got corrected. And then the last one here, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute because we did have used the term talking to some other groups about this. No good deed goes unpunished. We made some updates to the PDF and Word version of the purchase order print. And then, of course, we broke it. So I'm going to talk about that here on my next slide. So that's a quick summary of the release. Again, we'll have the full list posted for you guys at the end of March, and there'll be some more items coming in on the 30th, and we'll talk about those in the April user group meeting. And then, of course, you'll be able to go to the site, kind of that first part of April to check out all the great items that are coming in from a release perspective. So let me close this and let's talk about some of the bad things that I unfortunately did. There we go. Okay, so back to our slide. I'm going to hit this next one, and I've got some release updates for you. So PO print. PO Print, told this story. You guys that have already been in meetings with me are likely going to say, "Ugh, boy, he just repeats himself over and over again." But there was a former DGS director, Rich Slawowski. He actually is as a facilities director with VCU right now. And he used to always say, "No good deed goes unpunished." Well, we kind of did that to ourselves here with PO Print. So you guys, we went live with the new platform, and we got a lot of feedback about what the purchase order print looked like. Fix this, fix that. We were missing some data. There were, some formatting and things. And one of, quite honestly, Lisa Kirby's parting gifts to us was she consolidated about 15 or 16 different requests into one ticket that we put a bunch of fixes in. I will tell you, once we get this emergency fix in, and I got a little nuance there to that third bullet point, that went into UAT last night. We'll talk about that in a second. We may need to do another round of fixes to PO Print, and that's fine. We'll do another round, but we've made a lot of improvements, except for what I broke. So the updates to PO Print went in the evening of 3/16. You would have seen that on 3/17. And let me tell you guys, as soon as that went in on 3/16, we started getting tickets on 3/17 about an error we introduced. It has to do with the PO Print total. It tends to be your small dollar POs are okay, but for whatever reason, when that PO total hits a certain number of decimal points, it introduces an error, and all of a sudden, all this data just disappears from the PO Print. And again, just the print doesn't impact what the supplier gets, doesn't impact, if you go in and pull up the PO and EVA. But when you go to hit that print, for whatever reason, the print doesn't render properly because of this decimal situation. So an emergency fix went into UAT yesterday. We got that tested late last evening. It appears to have cleared everything up. I would expect at some point today for that fix to go into production on an emergency path. So hopefully by tomorrow morning, and maybe even this evening, all of our PO Print issues will be resolved, and you'll have a nice look at all the new stuff that came in. So sorry about that. Again, the whole no good deed goes unpunished, but we did push an emergency fix through to make sure we cleared that hurdle. And then that last bullet point here is, this is an ongoing process. You guys are likely to find something else you don't like from a printing perspective. That's fine. Let us hear about it. We'll get another ticket together, and we'll do another round of updates if it's needed. I personally think it looks a lot better. You're getting a lot more data elements. I know there's one area I want to clean up with a delivery contact on the shipping, but we'll get that cleaned up too. And if you see anything else, just let us know. Another issue I'd like to discuss. Move everybody pictures out of the way here. Get it over here. We have a certain number of suppliers. It's about 50 or so, give or take. And they tend to be some of our larger volume suppliers. Some of them are mandatory sources. VIB, Virginia Industries for the Blind, is one. Virginia Distribution Center is another. Supply Room, Grainger, Fisher Scientific, just to name a few. Tend to be office supply companies, lab supplies, MRO, big volume. And again, some of our mandatory sources. And they get their orders via a automated delivery through CXML, which is a transfer language that does a secure transfer of the EVA order. And for these suppliers, it allows them to avoid having to do double entry. It loads the EVA order directly into their inventory system and or order entry system. So it is an awesome efficiency for these high volume suppliers. However, since we made the switch to the new platform, several of our suppliers, including some of our mandatory source guys, had some programming language in place, or they had a configuration in place that was allowing them to more easily identify change orders and canceled purchase orders. All right. So that's that first bullet point. Some of these suppliers, and again, Supply Room, Fisher, VDC, VIB, some of those guys, we're struggling to differentiate between a new order, a changed order, and a canceled order. And so in their view, as the CXML order is coming, it's looking to them like everything's new. And so that's causing order duplications, which is headaches. I know for you guys on your side that you're getting duplicate orders and you're having to ship things back. They're, for the supplier side, they don't want to do that to you, because they have restocking fees and shipping costs and all the different things. This causes a major headache for everybody, especially, these are high volume suppliers. So you could have some situations where you're buying from some of these organizations several times a month, if not several times a week. And when you need to do a change order or you need to cancel a PO and that's being treated like a duplicate order, it's a real burden on everybody. So we've got some recommendations we're floating around. I can tell you I've been meeting directly with a few of these folks, thanks to our friends at VDC for meeting with me earlier this week. We've also been talking to the Supply Room, talking to Fisher, talking to Grainger, and we're starting to float some recommendations, and we're getting feedback. And every supplier is a little bit different on how they want to manage new orders, change orders, and canceled orders. But some of our recommendations, and we're looking for feedback and trying to work this out as quickly as possible, is within the CXML that we send over, there is a type field that is part of the CXML purchase order transaction, and it differentiates between new, changed, and canceled POs. And that is one of the things we're kind of asking, hey, can you read that field, work with your technology folks to help you programmatically determine if you've got a new order, a change, or a cancel order. And then there is another option where we are recommending, and this is something that we'll have to do on our end to do a new enhancement that would allow a configuration change that would allow the delivery of changes and cancellations via the standard order delivery, not using CXML. So in the case of, I don't think they'll mind me using them as an example, the Supply Room, they would prefer to have all new orders come into their system via the CXML process. And any changes and cancellations, they want those to route the standard method, where they'll get an email notification that there's been a change or a cancellation. And then those orders will go into their EVA account. Well, they'll have to log in and obtain them. And they like that because they would have a customer service rep responsible for monitoring the box, monitoring those emails, and then reaching out to you guys to determine what the change is and things like that, to work directly with you. Those are one of the things that is happening both with the PO print situation that we did to ourselves that we should be fixing up very soon, and then this issue with the order delivery and the duplicate order issue that we are working very hard to resolve. So those are the recommendations that are going out. Probably going to be a slow roll for some of these suppliers as they've got to engage their technical teams. And then we have to get this new enhancement in and get that implemented. But that is something that we are working very diligently on. And some of you may know Sandy Stanley, our EVA catalog manager here. She is helping me with that, as we move forward with getting these things cleaned up and getting those changes made. So that is a little bit of discussion here this morning about some things that are going on our release and some high level impact stuff that I just wanted to make you aware Now I want to shift gears and we're going to do some demoing. So I want to end on a positive note. And I know you guys may have seen me do the favorites feature before. We think it has a lot of value. It's a great thing to end on today, to go in. I'm going to show you how to set these up, but we're going to do, I know our to-do lists sometimes get crazy. There's all sorts of things that get in those to-do lists. And I want to show you how to set up a favorite for requisition approvals. Also in our purchase orders, you'll notice our purchase orders don't naturally filter to the orders that you yourself are responsible for. There's not a natural filter for that when you first go to browse orders. I'm going to show you how to set up a favorite to show your or my orders only. And then if there's specific catalogs that you like to order from, I'm going to show you how to do a favorite to link directly to a specific catalog. So I'm going to put my glasses back on. I'm going to stop sharing the PowerPoint, and I am going to begin sharing my EVA screen here. All right, looks like everything went over there. So I am in UAT, so I'm going to show you this in UAT. And the first thing I wanted to show you was to do requisition approval. So, notice this is a great example, right? This is my to-do list right here. And I've got 3 are sitting up above. And again, remember, this is UAT. So you might see some crazily named requisitions and stuff like that. But I've got 150 items in my to-do list. And if I click on that, you'll notice I've got some purchase requisitions, but I've got some orders. I've got buyer inbox. I probably, if I shift through here, have some supplier things too, although I'm not seeing anything right off the top of the head. Large value, that's one of the specific, I'm in the large dollar approval role. That's packed in there. Buyer manager, because of Q manager, for those of you that use that, just all sorts of different things in here. So in order to get this, let me do a reset here. You can tell I was playing with this earlier. I want to do a full reset. So in my pending validations, if I want to do something just for requisition approvals, all right, so just for requisition approvals, the status comes in here already, which is really nice. The things that need to be validated. That means it needs to be looked at. And I came in automatically as the leader. Now you can set those if you need to. And then there's all sorts of things in this process. So if I search for EVA purchase requisition, I can bring that up. And then I can hit search and get my list nice and clean. So this just returns to me EVA requisitions that need to be validated, where I'm responsible, where I'm the leader here, where I'm the leader or the performer. Now, again, I'm in UAT. I've got 102 things I need to do, but you get the point, right? So if I wanted to set this up as a favorite, where it's just recs I need to approve, get the search set up exactly the way you need it. And remember, you've also got these extra filters. You could do it by date if you wanted to, and things like that. But you can set up all of your search criteria to get this list exactly the way you want it. And even, from a task perspective, the various areas that you are, is it in the general EVA approvals? Do you guys have buyer inbox? You could build separate ones if you wanted to. Let's see if I have any. Do a search. Oh, there you go. So these are requisitions in the buyer inbox that need to be validated. So I've narrowed my list down to 12 things. I could then hit my favorites. This option comes up to name it, and you can name it whatever you want. Buyer inbox, recs, needing, name it whatever you want, needing approval, and you would add that page in. So now that gets added. So I will reset this. All right, so I've reset it, and I'm going to go back to the home page just to show you how that works. Now, so just pretend I've logged into a fresh session. I'm coming into EVA. I can hit my favorites, and then Buyer inbox recs needing approval. You can modify it, delete it, but if you want to see it, you just click over here. And that is going to fire up. And then those 12 items are coming back to me. All right. So any combination you want in here, and you guys might have various roles, various things that you're doing, various things you need to validate. This is absolutely something that you can set up. And again, you want to first get your query or whatever you're doing completely set up, get the search results out and then save it. And then every time when you come in and hit that favorite, it's going to rerun, exactly the way you had it set up. So another area, let me go back to the home page. I might need to refresh this because I was playing this morning. When you go to browse orders, so procurement, browse orders, and actually I'll show you this. If I go to browse requisitions, I've got this checkbox that gives me just my requests. Let me reset this. So I can do my requests and hit search, and then that narrows me down. So it's just my requisitions. Well, for whatever reason, when I go to browse orders, I don't have that same filter by default. So I'm getting orders from all over the site I'm in, all over my agency. And, it'd be really nice just, hey, I just want the orders where I was responsible for the order. I don't need to see orders from other people. I want to narrow that list. And again, I don't have any filter to do it for my orders, but we can create that by going here to this requester field.
And while Shane's creating that, I will add a little note that we do on our requisitions receiving and orders team. We do have that checkbox being added to this section as an enhancement request. So just letting everybody
great.
know.
Thank you, Kim. So in this case, I have narrowed this down. I've put myself in. I was the requester. These are my orders. These are orders that I initiated. Notice, look at me. I was testing PO print because I was testing that fix that came in UAT. But I've narrowed that down where these are the orders that I'm responsible for. So once I'm done with that, again, get your search set up. And actually, let's get it. I'll take it even a level further where the status is ordered. And again, I could do status denied. You can be very specific by supplier. Maybe there's a particular supplier. I mean, the choices are endless. Dates, amounts, even by allocations. Maybe you want to see the orders in a certain cost code or fund or department. And again, you can do as many of these as you want. You can have 100 favorites if that makes it easier on you. So once I narrow down my results, make sure you hit search and have the results return. So these for me, I'm the requester, and these are orders that are in ordered status. And all you have to do, just like we did before, call these orders. And I add that page. And again, just to show you that functionality, I'll hit reset, which cleans out those choices. I'll go back to the home page. And again, imagine logging in new. This is the first page you see. Come to your favorites. There's Shane's orders. Click that, boom. And it loads up for me. All right. And then the final one I want to do here, and maybe we'll take a few questions that we'll try to fit in up to our 11 o'clock stop. The final one I want to fit in is all around catalog. So again, I hope you're getting the point. There's not a query, a search, something you want to do that you can get set up and then save it as a favorite to make it easier to get back to. That includes shopping. So you can link to a specific catalog. So if I go to search products, all right, so I've got the initial one just says approved. We want all approved catalogs to come in. So I can do a specific search. We talked about supply room earlier. Let's do supply room. Search for that. All right, I get a bunch. I see everything. There's supply room instances there's all sorts of different supply room instances. You guys might not see all of these. But if you do, this would be a great way to get the one you want. So I noticed that one, it says supply room, state of Virginia. Well, that's the one I want. I'm state of Virginia. So let's narrow it down even more. And I'll do a search. And that returns to the top of my list. Supply room company, state of Virginia default punch out. That works for me. I want to be able to get to this quickly. Very simply hit your favorites again. Supply room VA. Add that page. And again, you guys are probably like, we get it, Shane, we get it. I'll do a reset here. There you go, to clean it out. I'll go back home just so you can see it. And then if I want to go to the supply room. Go in here. Now it's in items. You see it down there, and I hit supply room, and I can hit that. And boom. So if you have a particular catalog, a particular contract, a particular supplier that you want to get to them quickly, maybe it's Fisher, maybe it's another office products company, maybe it's VDC. You can do that. And actually, I'm pretty sure I got VDC and UAT. Let's do a little search here. That'd be a good example. I'll promote my own. There you go. There's VDC. And again, I'm in UAT. Don't worry about what you're seeing there. So if I wanted to do, let's make sure we get VDC here. There you go. So I search for VDC punch out. I can add another favorite. I'll call this one VDC punch out. Add that page. And again, you get the idea here. I can reset. I can go home. And then I can very quickly, I've got two. So if I hit VDC, I can go into there. Boom. And then when I'm even on this page, I can hit my supply room one. And it shifts out. And I'll do it one more time. I meant to be in VDC. That is how quickly you can navigate and set up those favorites. So that is absolutely something I wanted to show you today. Like I said, something cool. I really, 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 if you guys are doing very complex queries, very complex setup, where you're doing something very specific and you tend to be doing it a lot, set up those favorites. And again, you can do, I don't know if there's a limit. You can set up hundreds of favorites if that's something you'd like to do. So that's just something I wanted to go over today. We got about 10, 11 minutes. Maybe we'll dig in and what do you think, Kim? Maybe we'll take some questions.
I like the idea of taking some questions. Barb and I have been feverishly answering some of these types of things that are specific. So let me go back to the top. Thank you, Barb, for helping me tag team. You guys remember that we do have a buyer's assistance form. So if you need assistance, you can still use this to submit your question. So I am going to put that in the chat so that it reminds everybody where it's located. And then let's see.
While you're looking at that, Kim, I'll just pile on that. If you are already hearing from your DPS account executive about reaching out directly to them, please just make that your practice instead of the form. So
yes, and there are several organizations who, if you submit a ticket, we are going to route it to that appropriate party. So but we do keep track. So if you've submitted a ticket, we should be able to actually know that. So one of the questions came over about the blanket order feature and will it be available for use? Just an update. I thought that was a fair question. So is there an update on when we might next several months, next 6 months, if we can both, give an update? And crickets. It's being prioritized. I'm not going to give you the company response. The company standard.
Well, I mean, I know with blanket orders, there's some policy discussion around how to, best properly set that up and use it. So I think that is what's in the hopper right now. I don't know that we have. Barb, I don't know that you have a deadline for that.
I
at
think
this
I just responded back and said it's TBD. So we're
Yeah.
still prioritizing it and know that it's functionality that exists, and we just have to get everything else prioritized and see, when we can get that back out there for everybody. We know there's interest, so thank
I
you
w-
for the continued interest.
Yeah, for sure. And I would agree with Shane that I think we need some additional the policy guidance around it and a better understanding for your policy team, quite honestly, about how exactly the functionality works in the platform. And we have not had time to devote to that, just trying to keep everything else in the middle of the road since November 1st. But if you have a specific question or need about that, reach out to your account executive and let us talk about it with you. And maybe there's a way to accomplish what you need with the
Right.
technology that we have, functionality that we have in the platform already.
Good stuff.
So one of the other questions came about fiscal year. Is it supposed to default on the order? And I'm assuming according to the allocations. We find sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. And I definitely have run across that with people issuing or submitting a help request because their fiscal year is missing and it's a mandatory field. So any tips we can give around that?
It is kind of strange how that gets set up. The tip would be, let's see if I can share here again. There we are. The tip would be, and I hope I have a draft in here. Speaking of, do I have a MyRack? There we go. See, I even have a My Draft requisitions. So there comes a draft rack. The tip would be to do, you can mass edit here and hit set allocate. Now I only have one line item, so not very exciting, but you can do a mass edit and set it up where that defaults in, and you can very quickly make sure the fiscal year is correct if it's one line or 1,000 lines. And do that type of mass edit, and you can pick and choose, to make sure that gets set for you. So that's more of a, kind of a tip to quickly do it.
We've also cleaned that field up quite a bit from the initial rollout where we had so many fiscal years appearing in there. We've
Yes.
tamped that down to current and 1 year ahead. So.
Yep, there you go.
And then with
one behind current.
yeah. So you don't have to scroll through 1,000.
There's not 1,000 in there.
The delivery contact was mentioned for fix. What does that mean? Defaulting to buyer or free form?
So let me show you guys that. Actually, I should have an order out here that I can just pop. Well, you know what? Let me pull one of my orders. So look, I'm going to use my favorite to pull. Make sure I pull one of mine. I'll show you here. I think this is a good one. That should, can you guys see that? Did that come over where you can see a PO?
Yes.
Okay, good. Yeah, it stayed in the browser, so I was hoping it would share. So what I'm talking about with that is this field here. Delivery contact is still living in the ship to area. Now there's a deliver to on the line item, which is great. And so if you have on the line item, you can have a unique deliver to like all the way through. We've got to put some logic in. This isn't going to get filled from the ship to address. It should be getting filled by what's on the line item. And if there's multiple deliver tos on the line item, this should say like C line item for details or something like that. So right now you're going to notice that in the shipping area, the delivery contact field is blank. But the good news is that if there's 100 line items, 10 line items, that deliver to field is printing out on the PO print on the line items. So that's what I was talking about with the delivery contact stuff.
And when you come back to your list, you went all the way back. But if you could go back maybe just under procurement and requisitions, like browse requisitions is fine.
Sure.
So one of the questions came over about,
Well, maybe.
are we going to have
there
a
it is.
date field added to the requisition or PO fields? So the fact that, you can actually see a date. So that's part of
Oh,
the,
out here.
yes. And so
Yeah.
that is part of the enhancement request that we've
Yeah.
received, but you can use the filter.
Yeah, you can come here and set your dates here. So, I can do
Yes.
the first through the 22nd and hit search, and then that's going to give me, but yes, we understand that then, there's no date sitting out here. So you can
Correct.
easily see that. So, but you do have search options to do some narrowing in this, in your search area there.
Is the favorite suppliers checkbox going to work at some time?
Favorite suppliers.
And
Not sure
I was confused about that too.
I'm not sure I'm familiar with that.
So when you go under
Like search products?
I don't have a lot of context around the question.
Yeah, because I can set up a supplier.
Shop search
here.
products. So shop search products.
There's a favorite supplier checkbox there.
Yes.
You know what? I've never noticed that.
So pick the supplier from the drop down when you went back over to the funnel.
So I know a supplier I'll use. There we go.
And check the box. It's a grayed out.
They probably don't have any. They don't have any catalogs.
You see
You
that
had
in the
you had
chat?
VDC still on there. You have to
Yeah,
clear
I'm
out your-
resetting it. I'm resetting it. But this is a catalog area, so I would assume. Well, I'm going to need to figure that out. I don't know how to do a favorite supplier. Let's
So
see.
great question.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Favorite suppliers works. You go to suppliers, make the supplier a favorite, and then it will show up when you click the box
Where do you make them a favorite? Somebody tell me.
under suppliers. So you search favorite
found one.
suppliers, you go to suppliers,
Yep, I'm in there.
and then make the supplier a favorite. We're learning something. Sue, thank you for that comment in the chat.
Not immediately seeing how to make them a favorite.
You can tell the things we don't touch as often.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Ah,
So
you guys
the
are
browsing
brilliant.
suppliers. Yep. So
Oh, look how smart you guys are. Wow.
so that would be that function versus using that. And then when you filter, then if you set some, you should be able to check the checkbox when you do the filter.
Oh, so they're favorited now. I learned something new. I learned something new every day, guys. I learned something new. That is really cool. I love it. That is great. And does it go into your favorites then?
Yeah, you should be able to. And we are actually bumping right up against 11 o'clock.
Oh, we are.
We are, and I'm just want to keep everybody on task. Yep. So thank you guys for the comments. We do have several questions that came in that have not gotten answered live and or typed in a response to. So we will go ahead and collect those. It may be that one of your account executives follows up with you, or our hypercare team may follow up with you if you need assistance. So I will take that as a task. And thank Shane and Barb so much. I know you guys need to jump off.
Yeah,
Thank you,
Barb has
guys.
already ran off, and I am running off for an 11 o'clock as well. I hope everybody, thank you guys. I echo what Kim said. Thanks for joining today. We have our April meetings already scheduled, right? Is
For
it
the
out on
19th is the
Yep.
tentative date that we are sticking with. So thank
Great.
you. And we will follow up with these answers to these outstanding questions that we had. You guys are welcome.
Awesome.
All right, guys, have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in April.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.